So, I hope this works. So, I'm not sure if this works, but let's try this. Hi out there. I'm Carsten Drath, and I would like to introduce to you the Coaching for a Better World Fundraising Tour 2023 and what the project is all about. As a means to get this out into the world, we are using LinkedIn Live for the first time and also streaming on Facebook and YouTube at the same time, just to see if we can reach more people there. So let's start with the biggest question, which is the why. Why do you do this? Why do we do this? And first of all, who is we? So first of all, I'm managing partner of Leadership Choices together with my partner in crime, Uwe Achterhold. And this company is now 15 years old. It's a professional services company with the DNA of a coaching company. So we like to have impact by working with people, we're upping up their game in terms of leadership, increasing the team cohesion of leadership teams, of executive boards, and also working on corporate cultures, making them more humane, fearless, and agile. So this is what we do. And over the years, the role of corporate social responsibility has always played a role, but the role has become bigger and bigger. And at one point, there were two major events, or maybe three major events, where we were thinking about what can we do as coaches to help in difficult situation that nobody else can. And the first situation where that was relevant was the COVID pandemic, when a lot of organizations went into economic unemployment. And we coaches had a lot of free time on our hands, and we said, why don't we help? Why don't we help organizations that are in economic unemployment and help their leaders, help their teams to get through this unharmed in the best possible way? And it was a small project, but it was a very big success, and it was also very fulfilling for our people. The next biggest event was the flooding in the R Valley 2021. And here, after some months, we tried to see how can coaches help in such a situation? How can coaches help when people have lost their homes, have lost their loved ones, have lost their livelihood? What can we do? And certainly when this has happened, like a natural disaster of that dimension, the first thing is not to say, how can I get a coach, right? This is not the first thing, maybe not the second thing. But what we did notice was after half a year, when the winter came and people couldn't work on their houses anymore, people got, silent, and people got calm. And at that point, many people went into dark places because of the tough situations they had now the time to realize, and all the mourning that they had to go through. So that was the time when we started reaching out and helping people through coaching, both people who have been affected by the flood, but also local aid organizations. And we've seen also that there's different organizations that have different needs. And so what we know from the business world is that teams and organizations, they just don't work by coincidence. This is something that needs to be designed. This is something that needs to be supported also from the outside every now and then. So cohesion in a team, this is something that is built. If somebody is becoming a better leader, this is something that's oftentimes works with the support of somebody external, working on a culture that enables people to be their true self. This is something that requires external impulses. So we have seen what works in the business world, and there was more and more desire to bring this onto the NGO world that was kind of building. And then the last building block was the Ukraine war, where we said, how can we use our technology that we have developed, which is a digital coaching platform that can support many hundred, many thousand people who want coaching, and many hundred coaches who provide coaching, bring them together, help them communicate so that we can affect scale. So we have this idea that what is it that we can bring to organizations, be it for business, not for business? What is it that we bring in terms of the NGO world, where only we can support, and where we can, or where coaches can support very well, let's say. And then also, how can we scale this to a larger degree? And what we have noticed is, as a for-profit business, Leadership Choices is obviously a for-profit business, it is very, very hard to say, hey, I'm doing this for free, I'm doing this for you. There's always a second thought, like, so if this is good, why don't you charge for it? And by the way, I can't afford it. So that you are always in a bit of a defensive mode, what to do there. And I'm just getting some messages that, okay, there are some people that can see and hear me. This is good. Please keep it coming. This is cool. Yes, thank you. At least I have the feeling I'm not alone. This is great. So what else? So where was I? Sorry, I lost my thread there. So these were the three major events that kind of made an impact. And these events kind of led us to saying we want to have a proper form for that, if you want, and to start a foundation, right? So this was really the idea. And the idea was to have a foundation that kind of mimics what Leadership Choices does in the NGO world. And that was the time where the Cosmic Foundation was born. So what does the Cosmic Foundation do? So the first thing was, why do we do this? Why LinkedIn Live? Why do I broadcast here? So the idea is to promote the idea that for-profit businesses provide money, and individual people, business people, provide money to fund the coaching of leadership teams of NGOs who want to make the world a better place. So who work for the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, who work for environmental protection, human rights, gender equality, accessibility for minority groups, all of these topics that play a major role. They need professional support, just like organizations do, but they are nowhere near a situation where they can afford this. And on the other hand, coaches are a very purpose-driven profession, and coaches should not be penalized for that by working for free all the time. It's okay to have a pro bono engagement every now and then, but coaches need to earn a living, and hence we are looking for ways to say, think of a triangle. So you have, on the one hand side, you have the NGO who has a need. We have the Cosmic Foundation to provide the funding, and we have coaches all over the world who could be willing to support, and we have coaching infrastructure kind of sitting in the middle, which happens to be named Cosmic, who is able to facilitate all that and bring all the people together, right? So this is the idea. Couple of more detailed notes. It is important to note that this is not a hidden money-making structure or scheme. So the coaching, the rate at which the coaches work is like a quarter of what they would normally do. The donations go only to the NGO, and the NGO can use the money to fund the coaching. There is no money going through the books of Leadership Choices. It is a totally standalone entity, and we have designed this together with experts in the field of foundations to make sure that this is crystal clear and there's no kind of mixing of agendas here, which obviously is people can be, thinking about. So what's the back thought? There is no back thought. The back thought is that we want to have impact and extend that impact also on the social sector. Now, what is also important to say is when we do this, we come from a place of humility. We don't come from a place of, now we are experienced managers and we tell you guys in the social sector, in the civic society, how things ought to be run. We have learned this over many conversations with many people, that there is absolute a high degree of professionalism, enthusiasm, of purpose. So this is a clientele that needs to be taken very seriously and met on eye level, at par, in the way we work. So when we come in a humble approach of, hey, how can we help? How can we be of service? This is our idea. Because I'm just saying this because in many conversations with NGOs, the fear that was coming through was, well, there's some old guys telling us what to do, and you guys have no idea what we are actually grappling with. So that needs to be made extra clear. Now, the foundation is ready. We started the foundation in 2022. What we are now doing is we are creating the budget for 2024 so that we can work with this. And now I would like to introduce the fundraising project, the Coaching for a Better World fundraising tour by bike around the world. So I'm not sure if you can see this very well, but this has been the project so far. So 13 countries, from Gibraltar to the North Cape, from Lisbon to the Polish border, and one major tour a year, start in 2017, and so far a little short of 96,000 euros collected, and 14,700 kilometers crossed so far. And I'm a normal guy, I'm not an active sports person. I don't do thousands and thousands of kilometers and stuff. I'm working a lot. I'm passionate about what I do, and I also use this tour to kind of get out there, get connected with nature, get connected with people, get connected with my spiritual world, if you want. And this is something that has become very important to me, these tours. One of the most spectacular tour for me was the North Cape, tour to the North Cape, where I was, there was a lot of insecurity in terms of, will I get across the border? Because Norwegian border was closed for over a year during COVID, and only 4 days before I arrived there, they would open up and I could, finally complete my trip. And I had a broken rear rim, so I had to find replacement north of the Arctic Circle. And I can tell you, bike supply, let alone of a supply chain crisis, is very rare if you come north of the Arctic Circle. But as always, on such trips, I always travel alone. I always travel unsupported. I sleep in a tent. I cook my own food along the way. And people help. People are supportive. So I had to hitchhike with a fully loaded bike, and I managed. People were friendly. People were kind. And this is something that is kind of really great. That's simply a great experience if you put yourself out there. And so that was North Cape. And then eventually, with the pandemic kind of ebbing down, the next big dream was Canada. And as you can see here, this was the leg from last year, and that was from Vancouver to Vancouver Island, then up Vancouver Island with a ferry to Port Hardy, then the Yellowhead Highway, very close to the Alaskan border, and then through the Rocky Mountains, Jasper, Banff, to the national parks, then down to Calgary into the prairies, and then another 800 kilometers or so to Calgary. So all in all, a little short of 3,000 kilometers. And that was my most favorite trip so far. So the idea of cycling there and meeting people. I was invited off the street, literally by foreigners who had never seen me, to stay into their house to talk and to tell stories, and they gave me sightseeing tours, which was super touching, super nice. And yeah, so this was a great experience. I ran into bears like 3 times. Not It was never dangerous, but it was always very exciting, let's say. And I was very happy that they weren't so interested in me. So that was great experience, climbing up the Rockies, climbing up to the Columbia ice fields, the glaciers over there, spending a night in grizzly country, which is a bit more serious. I mean, let's don't make a mistake. Black bears can be very aggressive, and brown bears, grizzly bears, are supposedly more aggressive. So this was a place where my night was kind of short, and I had bear spray just inside my sleeping bag, just to make sure that I had a fighting chance, even though I'm not quite sure what I would have done if a bear indeed would have come. So I managed to cycle to Saskatoon, and this year, and this is starting in July 31st, I'll be flying out to Saskatoon. The flight is obviously CO2 compensated. I'm taking a rental car to, I'm flying to Calgary, I'm sorry. I'm taking the rental car to Calgary, and then from there, I will go on and then cycle from there to Winnipeg. Winnipeg is the center of Canada. From there, I will turn, actually, I can show this to you. From there, can you see this? From there, I will turn south and go to Minneapolis, and then from Minneapolis onwards to Chicago, and then Detroit, over the border, then to Toronto, and to Montreal, where I will conclude this leg. That's around 4,000 kilometers in 35 days. That is not doable for me, which is why, since it's also a major detour, I'm taking a train for around 1,000 kilometers, because the straight line would have been 3,000. But I want to see some friends along the way. And these friends have also kindly agreed to organize fundraising dinners. So there will be 4 fundraising dinners along the way. The first one will be in Chicago on August the 20th. August the 20th, Chicago. If you happen to be around, get in touch. August 27th, there will be a fundraising event. I'm not quite sure what it will look like, in the Toronto area. And on September 3rd, which is again precisely a week later, we will have an event in Montreal. And once I return, there will be a fundraising event in Wiesbaden on October 12th. So we're doing this to maximize the outcome, to maximize the donations, so that we have a working budget for 2024 to fund our foundation. So this is the idea. How can everybody support? So the first way of supporting happens behind the scenes. So we are talking to literally all our clients and see, hey, do you want to support? Do you want to sponsor the event? There are different sponsoring packages available. They include, for example, a keynote, a virtual keynote, or a half-day workshop. They include the right to nominate an NGO to be supported by the Cosmic Foundation. So different packages available, and hopefully we have some interested clients that we are currently talking to, and hopefully they will say yes. Many of them will say yes, and this will get us to, hopefully 3/4 of the way. And then obviously we are looking for individual contributions, individual support, and so that people say, you know what, this guy is so crazy, that's worth my money, some of my money. And we are, €1 is fine, €10 is fine, and €100 are equally fine. So whatever is affordable to you, please help us to get this Cosmic Foundation off the ground. We think that we can achieve real impact with that in a part of the society that doesn't have the access to that yet, and in a way that is fair to the coaches who provide the service. And then obviously what is important for us is spread the word, talk about it. I'll be doing, so I'm actually not very active on social media, I have to tell you. And I can't say that I thoroughly enjoy it, kind of getting myself out there. But this is about a purpose. This is about reaching out to you. This is about asking for your support. And this is why I'm doing it. And one of the things that I've been told is if you manage to build a community of followers that that watch your live feeds on a daily basis, this is the best thing to activate people. So after a lot of internal going back and forth, I have committed myself, and I'm committing myself to you, that I will have daily updates if there's network service from the tour. Since I'm in Canada and many of the viewers are probably in Europe, you would see it in the evening when I start my day. But at least with this, I'm still fresh when I broadcast, and you can see what is happening, how the day before was, some reflection. It will be broadcasted live from the saddle if that works, because actually I have a lot to do. I'm planning to cycle 110 kilometers every day, which is easy on the first day, not quite so easy on second and third. And obviously I need to get a couple of more kilometers under my belt before I start. This is something that my family has given me as a feedback, that they want to see me doing that in a prepared way. And that's my commitment to them. So I'll be doing that. I'll be training until then so that I'm in a okay shape, okay enough to enjoy the ride. And then I will be out there alone in nature, exposed to whatever the weather brings, exposed to people that I meet. And this is truly exciting. On the one hand side, it is each day is not controllable. Each day is unique. You start, you eat, you take off, and then things happen. You have no idea what. You have no idea who you meet. You have no idea about the weather, about the conditions, about the roads. And every day is a fun story. Every day is a little bit of an adventure, and it's something that you couldn't kind of dream up. And also something that I find very interesting is when I'm out there, that I'm feeling connected. I'm feeling connected to something that's bigger than me. I can't really put it in words, but it's you feel small. I feel small. I feel vulnerable. I feel fragile. Not fragile in the sense that there's nothing protecting you. There's no house around you. There's no car around you. You are out there. You know what I mean? But this is also very intense. And I have never been so happy as after a day of cycling, sitting in front of my tent and watching the sunset or the sunrise. This is just the best time. It's intense, but it's also very simple. You're connected to yourself, and it is hard sometimes. I won't lie. It's somebody in our podcast Leaders Talk, Charlie Walker, once said it's type 2 fun. So it's not necessarily fun when you do it, but it's great fun when you remember it and when you talk about it. And that's actually, a lot of it is type 2 fun, I have to say. When you run out of water, when you run out of food, when you're in a thunderstorm without shelter, when you are invited to homes by people you have never seen, taking a risk. So that's really, really cool. That's really intense, and I'm enjoying this a lot. And so this tour will have more challenges built in along the way. So the first challenge will be that I'll be crossing the border, Canada to US and US to Canada twice, and a border crossing for a German national with a bike that's the first. It's the first time that I'm doing this. I mean, I've crossed many borders in Europe, but as you know, there's no borders, right? So this is with passport and visa and all of that stuff. So many things can go wrong. And then I'll need to make it in time to the fundraising event in Chicago. And so that's the race. There's not much buffer built in there. And then the next race is to be on time for the fundraising function in Toronto, and then Montreal, and also catching the flight back home. So that is the challenge. And you can watch me hopefully daily in your feed, and see what's going on. Then I'll be looking a little different, but I'll be wearing these kind of colors, as you can see here. And yeah, I would be very appreciative for your support. There are times when you feel low. There are times when I feel lonely, when I feel this is too much. I should be giving up. I had these moments on every tour. And then afterwards, you're so happy that you just continue, that you just push through this, and next time is a better day, and the sun goes up every morning, and you have a new chance, and get your way back to the best version of what this tour can be, and how you can think about it. And what I've also said is that since our work, both the Leadership Choices and the Cosmic Foundation, has a lot to do with resilience, I'll be reflecting every day around an element of resilience that we are working with. I'm not quite sure how my mental state will allow that, but that's at least the plan, to connect a little bit of what I'm experiencing to a model that we use when we are doing our resilience workshops with leaders, with NGOs, with all kinds of different organizations, and to bring this into context. So this is an additional challenge. And yeah, so that's really all I wanted to say, to get this out there in the world, and see how this LinkedIn Live technology is functioning. I see there are some feedbacks that are coming from LinkedIn, which is great. That is very, very encouraging. I hope this is kind of working. I hope the quality is okay. If you have any feedback for how I can improve going forward, this would be really, really awesome, because that's kind of helpful. It's a first, trying out something new every time. And obviously, when you're watching this and you are a manager in a company, and you say, you know what, I believe in coaching, we believe in coaching, and we think the third sector, the NGO world, could definitely benefit from high quality coaching provided by certified coaches and funded by a foundation, then please reach out, and we are happy for your support. Please write me a comment in this post where you see this on the platforms, and I'll make sure to get back to you and see how we can work together for this. And else, in any other case, please help us spread the word, talk about it, mention it to others. That would really help us, and it would also be a big step, I think, for the coaching profession, to use our force, our power, our experience, our skill set for the sector that is there to make society better, to save humanity, to work with all the crises that we have there, be it humanitarian crisis, be it climate crisis, be it people being scared for their livelihood, all of that, gender equality, be it the revolution in Iran, be it the war in Ukraine. You may not think that coaching is the first thing that comes to mind, but if you want to heal wounds, if you want to help people go on, if you want to help teams and organizations not to burn out, or kind of to explode or implode based on conflicts or inexperienced leadership, coaching is what can help. Coaching is what the difference is. And this is what we want to stand for. And therefore, we simply need your money. That's the very, very simple thing. And obviously, everything is tax deductible. We are a charitable organization, everything by the books, registered with the authorities. And yeah, so that's all there is. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your comments. Yeah, what can I say? Uh, I'll be posting, I'll be keeping you up to date, and just be in touch. And you have a good evening now, or a good day when you're watching in the States or in Canada, and talk soon. Thank you so much. Bye bye.